about to live stream on YouTube, and then I'm going to turn it on Facebook as well.
So it's almost 11:15. Where's your speaker, your resource?
Just letting everyone know. So we are about to live stream on YouTube, and then I'm going to turn it on.
Okay.
Yes, he actually tried to join. I think
There he is.
There he is.
See, we require our people to come on 30 minutes before the meeting starts.
Hey, Sturdy, how are you?
Good, Sanjay. How are you?
Welcome. Let me make you the co-host.
Good. Thanks for asking.
CD thinks he's sturdy. What do you do?
Does that to me all the time.
Yeah. Okay, we have started the live stream on YouTube. I'm going to turn on the live stream. I guess you can only do one or the other. Okay, I didn't know that.
What's that? Record or do live stream?
So the live stream, you can't run two of them simultaneously. Like I thought we could do Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So okay, we'll go with YouTube this time then.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just doing a few checks. Let's see. The recording, we'll turn it on about another 5 minutes or so. Okay. Yeah, our official start time is Dr. Johnson is 11 a.m. So thanks for tuning in early, and you can connect with our coach, Business Coach Sturdy McKee. He's here, as you can see him.
Yeah, welcome,
Hi, how you doing?
welcome, Anil. Good. How are you?
Spectacular.
Good. What kind of business do you have?
I'm a strategic analyst.
Okay, so solo, or do you have employees, or?
No, I have a team, but they're interns. I've been doing this for 41 years.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing, 41 years. You're using a laptop for your video feed?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop.
Go by the camera angle.
I'm on my notebook, as I say. Nowadays it's called notebook.
Yeah, well, mine is too, but mine's sitting way over there.
How did you do that?
Well, what you do is I went out and put in a 55-inch curved TV screen as my main monitor a couple of years ago. But for doing the Zoom meetings, because I'm also analyzing other information beside the Zoom meeting, we installed a 44-inch TV over here. So I'm looking at basically a wall of video.
I see.
See, but what happened is we never got into Zoom until about 4.5, 5 months ago. When the COVID thing hit, we had no choice. We had to learn how to do Zoom. So what we did was we turned doing Zoom meetings into a strategic weapon.
That's fantastic. I know you're doing the OC business meetings every.
We do the business part. We were doing it face to face once a month, but when we went to Zoom, they wanted to do it more frequently. So we're doing it every other week now.
How are they coming along?
What's that?
How are the meetings coming along? What's been the
Unbelievable. They keep getting better and better.
They keep getting better. Okay.
Yeah. But again, we keep tweaking the infrastructure. Well, you can see based on the virtual background that we're using, most people won't have a virtual background the way we're doing this. And I can put up a green screen, I just don't bother. But we've got a green screen too.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird. I can do the virtual on my iPad, but then the iPad doesn't give me all the functions, including the live streaming.
Now, here's what I would say. Not that I should coach you because you're the coach, but what I would do is I would look at it from the standpoint of what virtual background would best position and brand me as an expert as a business coach.
I like my background. So I was coming back to that. We have a little ping pong table going there.
Sturdy, is that your backyard?
Me?
Yeah, is that your backyard?
Oh no, that's Dude, that's Kukio. That's where Michael Dell has a vacation home and stuff. Those are
Oh,
$6 to
okay.
$10 million houses on the Big
Okay.
Island.
Now, mine's not quite that expensive, but close.
No.
But that's my backyard.
I've been to Pete's home. It's a fascinating place. You know?
No, that's their fourth or fifth house. That's not even the second house.
Wow.
So are you Michael Dell's coach? Is that how you got?
No. That's just a place in Hawaii.
Okay.
So that's a subdivision. Houses like this. That's not his house. I mean, you can't get a picture of his house.
Michael Dell's coach. I wonder who that would be.
I know that Bill Gates stayed at his house there, but you can't stay there unless the owner is with you. So when Dell left, they kicked Bill Gates out.
Are you serious? They're that strict.
Yes, because that's the crowd that lives there. No, we're not going to break the rules that way. At least that's the rumor.
Yeah, that's not a crowd that I run with.
So they were just waiting to see how has Dell left. Okay, out of here.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was like pouncing on it or waiting, but it was, they found out, hey, the Dells left their house and there's still people staying there. Who's staying there? The notorious HOAs, right?
The HOAs, yeah. I guess, yeah, you could have, it's amazing how our laws work, you can actually have a law like that at a local level. I don't know whether it's enforceable or not, but it can work. I think your microphone just went, okay, there you go.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Your mic was off for a couple of seconds there, yeah. So yeah, we have the poll set up, overall.
Good to go?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just share I have a few, like 2-3 slides as an intro.
Great.
Let me just see how it's coming out. Hold on. Yeah, just come here and then blow it up full screen, yeah. There is an option to go all the way.
It was there. It's right down below read mode, I think.
Oh, the full screen mode, okay. So is it good? Is it still looking good? Can you see this or no?
Yeah, I can see.
Sorry, I muted again. We can see the screen just fine.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Do you have a Coach Sturdy? Do you have a mic control that mutes your mic on and off for some reason?
No, that's me. I was taking a drink of coffee.
Okay.
Didn't want you guys to hear me sipping.
I was a little worried that.
No.
Wow. Okay.
Manual control.
Manual control. Okay, that's good enough. Yeah. So this is. It looks good, right? Yeah.
Looks fine. Yeah.
All right. Hello, Kurt. How are you doing?
Hi, doing fine.
Yeah, welcome to our Fireside Chat.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see what you have here.
Yes, I'm as well.
I may be the only one who could have an actual fire and still be comfortable.
Yeah.
55 degrees here.
How much?
55.
Oh, 55. Okay, I see. So it's a little chilly out there in the city.
Yep, that's July and August here.
Yeah. They call it the Indian summer.
Well,
that happens in October, though, right? September.
Yeah, September, October are gorgeous. That'll be in the high 60s, 70s. but not July and August.
A lot of people come to SF. I remember usually in Fremont, they'll come there for summer breaks. I'm like, they'll visit us. And I'm like, make sure you have a jacket on. And they look at me like I'm crazy guy. I'm like, believe me, have your jacket with you. Then I
Yep.
take them on a tour, and I think the moment they go near the bay, the jacket comes out.
Mm-hmm. That or they buy a lot of sweatshirts and stuff.
Yeah. So Kurt, where are you joining in today from? Okay, sorry, Mike.
Oh. Were you asking me a question?
Yeah, sorry, where are you? Are you in Orange County? Where are you right now?
I do consulting, and I'm kind of transitioning to like R&D coaching and that sort of thing. And I've done quite a bit of work over at UCI and mentoring and
Yes.
judging and so on. And you probably have too, or you know of people that have done it.
Yeah. It's yeah. I think UCI, the COVID, everybody is doing awesome nowadays.
Yeah, at the Cove and the POP programs and the Wayfinder and those. There's a lot of new startups.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Did you have any trouble joining in? Everything worked well, the link and everything?
No, I didn't have any trouble joining. No,
Okay, good.
I'm involved in quite a few other groups, and Zoom has seemed to be working well.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, there are different modes. We have done the webinar modes, but that tends to get more, I would say, less interactive. I think with today's Fireside Chat, I actually thought that let's do the meeting mode where everybody, gets to see who they are and interact a little bit,
I'm on a Zoom call right now with
So, Kurt, what's the plan for the summer? Going anywhere or staying home?
Probably not going anywhere because of the virus.
Yeah.
It's not a good time to travel as far as meeting grandchildren and so on.
Yeah.
We do Zoom, do FaceTime and telephone, so on, keep in contact.
Yeah.
And that
No,
seems to
you're
work,
right.
but we'll continue traveling later. But
Yeah.
during this time, there's limitations there and so on, and it's not the best use of time, I don't think, to travel right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm hoping that we can start reversing the trend. I thought we were pointing in the right direction a month or 2 months back.
Yeah, I had a friend that was planning a 7-week trip back east, and he had a little heart attack and had a few problems, so they had to reevaluate it. But when they looked into the travel further, they found that in some states, when you go across the state line, you go into seclusion essentially for 12 days, where you can't do much.
Yeah, I see.
Because you're coming from another state. And so he changed his travel plans pretty abruptly. And I didn't want to get into anything like that.
No, so it's almost 11, so I think we'll get started. Dave, how are you doing? Welcome.
Welcome, Dave.
Where are you joining in from, Dave?
Las Vegas.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. And we have Anshuman joining in. Anshuman, how are you?
I'm good, Sanjay. Thanks for inviting me and thanks for putting up these webinars. Really love to meet all of you. I'm here in Los Angeles County in Cerritos.
Yeah, so this is a Fireside Chat now. So, we're renaming the webinars to Fireside Chats because I thought that the format needs to be a little more interactive as opposed to a webinar setting. We'll see how it plays out today. So, that will also mean we'll have to ask folks to mute their mics when they are not talking. So it will be an interesting experience for sure. I think my father has joined in from India. Bharat, how are you? I'm calling you by name now because of all of this.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't
Welcome,
know.
welcome.
I don't know if you can talk or not, but I hope you can hear us. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. There's some noise coming. So we'll have to make sure that folks mute their mics when they're not chatting. Well, welcome to today's. Okay, let me see if I can find. I can mute the person who is. Okay, now it works. Okay, let me turn the recording on before I start. All right. All right. It is 11 a.m. Thank you all for joining today. Today is July 30th. I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing. Welcome to our first edition of Fireside Chat on Zoom for 2020. This is our 8th overall event on Zoom, but for our first Fireside Chat of 2020, and I'm really happy that a lot of you have joined today. It's going to be an interactive, conversational type, I would say, event, as opposed to a many-to-one that we have normally seen in the past. Again, I welcome all of you to join us. We will actually go around and do a quick 30-second intro for the folks who can get the microphone enabled and chat. That's the idea here. And I'm going to formally introduce our guest of the day, Coach Sturdy McKee. After we do a quick round of intros from our attendees who are here. So I'll start with me. I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing. And I'll share a little more about oGoing a little bit later, as we get into the chat. But let's start with to my right, as I'm seeing on my screen. Let's go with Dr. Pete Johnson. How are you?
All right, Pete Johnson, Peer Advisory Forum, Laguna Hills, California.
All right, let's go with Mr. Kurt Deckert.
Kurt Deckert. I'm in North Tustin, California. I've had a consulting company for about 43 years, consulted for about 150 companies in the area of optical technology applications. Quite a few companies in that area.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining both Dr. Johnson and Kurt. We'll go in the middle with Anshuman.
Thank you, Sanjay. Hello, everyone. Anshuman Sinha. I'm the president of TIE SoCal. It is the world's largest entrepreneur organization. We are in 14 countries, 62 chapters. The Southern California chapter started 23 years ago. My day job is I run an executive search firm, in technology spectrum. Thank you.
Thanks, Anshuman. Let's go with Dave Austin. Dave, welcome.
Yes, my company is National Cost Recovery Services. We're savings consultants. I go into businesses and I look at various operational expenses to recover money that's been overspent, whether that be work comp, merchant fees, shipping, a number of different areas, and everything we do is contingent. I.e., if I don't find a savings, I don't get paid. So it's a win-win for a business. And we have some other services for larger businesses where I need significant revenues, but in saving, we can provide savings for businesses in the 25 million and above range in several areas.
Welcome. Thanks for joining and sharing your business. Yes, we'll go in the middle with Pankaj Dayal.
Good morning, all. Pankaj Dayal. I'm up in Palmdale, California. My firm is PNR Financial Services, and I'm in a very specific area of the investment business, which is retirement plans. 401k is obviously the most common, but that's only one type of retirement plan. And if you know any businesses that do not offer one, CalSavers is coming, so it is time to make a decision whether to go through CalSavers or have your own. Thank you.
Thanks, Pankaj, for joining. Anil, are you online, Anil?
Yes, I am. Sanjay, sorry, I'm not coming on video. I haven't planned the video part because I'm outside in the back.
Got you there.
That's okay. Sorry about that. Like Anshuman said, I work with Anshuman. I'm the Thai SoCal Executive Director, and work with we hosting all our events virtually because of COVID-19.
Yep.
And that's one thing. And I run a IT solutions company, and we provide security and IT support solutions for small and medium companies. And I have a couple of startups in healthcare. One is telemed, and another one is behavioral mental health. That's about.
Fantastic. Let's go in the middle with Amrit Bhandari. Amrit, can you unmute and say a few words? Amrit bhai?
Hello, this is Amrit Bhandari. I'm here. Hello.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
go ahead and say a couple of things about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a registered broker. I have office in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Orange County. I'm an investment broker. We buy, sell, manage properties, gas stations, hotels, anything business-wise. I'm happy to join you. And Sanjay, you are very entrepreneur, very, very, very intelligent man. I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrit bhai. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. We have Avinash Korikar. Avinash, go ahead. Say a couple of things.
Hi, this is Avinash. How is everybody doing? I was very much interested in attending today to learn about the topic. I'm currently working for IBM, a senior manager there.
Thank you, Avinash, for joining. Appreciate it. Balaji Rao. Balaji, how are you? Balaji, we'll come back to you. Let me see if I can unmute him. Okay, we'll get back to Balaji. Hark, what's up, Hark? Can you hear us? Can you listen only mode? Let me see.
Sanjay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was on mute actually. Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, I'm doing well, man. I just moved to new office on One Carmen, just settling down there.
Okay, very good, very good. I'm sorry if some of you are not able to talk. I apologize. Jason, let me see if I can unmute your mic. Jason Duncan, how are you, Jason?
Doing great, Sanjay.
Oh, there you go. Video on as well. Looking good. How you been?
Thanks. Yeah, I wore the wrong shirt. It's not for business, but we're okay.
We're all fine. I should have warned you guys that we are going to do this in an interactive setting, but I appreciate it that you're all enjoying this and participating. So thank you. Yeah, Jason, a couple of words about your business.
Yeah, so a lot of companies were using trade shows to generate leads. So we're helping them create digital trade shows or virtual trade shows. So that's what we're doing right now.
Fantastic. And you do a lot of video as well, right? You help business.
Video is the way.
Hey, do you know what is his risk-aligned score? Did I tell you?
Balaji, your mic is on, so unmute, please. Or mute you. Okay. So we have, I think Hark, I'm having a tough time unmuting him. I don't know why. And then let's see if Paulina can chat a little bit about her. I'm getting
Hark put a message into chat as well, Sanjay.
Yeah, I apologize. Paulina, if you can hear us and if you want to participate, you unmute your mic and say a couple of words, otherwise we'll get started. I guess so. Okay, there you go, Paulina. Can you hear us? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Polly McCormick, and I'm from Huntington Beach, California. Nice to meet everyone. And I'm a realtor and specialist in investment property here in Huntington Beach. Nice to meet everyone.
Welcome, and thanks for joining and participating. I really appreciate it. And I think my father is finally online, Bharat Dalal. Bharat, sir, how are you?
Fine.
Yeah, he's logging in at almost midnight in India, so I appreciate your joining in.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You want to say a couple of words? Go ahead.
It's a very interesting topic. I had taught a course on sales management at Indian Institute of Management many years back. And I'm a management teacher and also management consultant. and I will comment on it as we go along after our coach speaks about the subject.
The coach is on the spot here. Okay. And I think before we head to the coach, let me quickly say hello to, is it Renee? Renee Rojano, how are you?
Hey, nice to meet you guys. My name's Renee Rojano with
Rohan.
the marketing group of Orange County.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. So Coach Sturdy, again, I formally welcome you to our Fireside Chat. Thank you for doing this. It's a new format, and I'm quite appreciative of you joining. Let me start the screen share here, and Coach Sturdy McKee, you want to say a couple of words before we get into the actual event? Go ahead, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Number one, thank you very much. I'm impressed by the audience as well. So my background is really in healthcare. I started out, well, goes way back. My first business, I guess, was when I was like 10 or 12, selling candy bars, and then lawn mowing business at 12, probably like a lot of you guys. And then always had that bug and just not a great employee, and had to figure out ways to kind of navigate my own way. But I went to physical therapy school way back and started a PT private practice about 2 years ago. After the first couple of years of struggling with that, really used the next decade plus to learn, to really, focus on the education. It funded my coaches, my training, those things, because like so many professionals or, so many entrepreneurs, I went out into business not really knowing a ton about business. I was good at what I did, didn't know the rest of it, and really focused on that. I have been doing coaching for small business owners. My target audience is generally about 5 to 100 employees, 2 to 200 if you want to make it easy. But been doing that for about the past 5 years, last 4 years or so on my own.
Absolutely. So let's start the Fireside Chat conversation. Let me actually share the screen quickly here. And just a couple of slides. I really don't want to bore you all with slides here. So again, I'm Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing. And I wanted to take a moment to, our representative, from Georgia, Representative John Lewis, passed away about a week plus ago now. And he was, coming from India, I would probably call him, he was like a freedom fighter for racial justice, for equality, and overall helping create the Civil Rights Act, along with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and many others. A tremendous leader that we lost, but again left behind a tremendous legacy. So I thought it's an event. We have a fireside chat. I would like to take a moment to honor him and honor what he has been, for us. But perhaps beyond this quote you see here, which is a fascinating quote in itself about hope and optimism. What he was a huge proponent of nonviolence in the way of civil rights, in the way of protest and everything he did, So whatever he did to bring about the change in this amazing country, it was through the means of nonviolence and peace and some love as well. So again, a remarkable man. Coach McKee, would you like to say anything else or top of that?
Right on mute. Yeah, I actually ran in and met John Lewis in 1986. I think I went to Atlanta to go to college and actually had plans to work for Julian Bond, who was running against John Lewis for Congress, and John Lewis beat him. So,
that's very interesting story.
So I didn't, then there were some other issues around that, but that's back when met him, and he became a congressman, and became aware of him at that point. He's been interesting, great guy to follow.
Absolutely. So fireside chat, this is a symbolic fireside chat. don't have any fire going anywhere, but it's a conversation. So I appreciate everybody joining. A quick 30 seconds on oGoing. oGoing, we are like a LinkedIn for business owners. It's a live business community. We have 100,000 members now. These are local, small, and growing businesses, and we are growing every day. Every day we have 30 to 50 members joining in. We started here in Southern California, but now our membership has grown through all the whole country, and even we have members joining from all over the world, and definitely from India as well, where we have our team there as well as our roots. It's a global community. Just join. It's a great place to boost your business brand, establish trust. We only allow members who are verified, to join. So the best part is, if you join oGoing and then you see other members there and they're sharing content or they're connecting with you, you can be rest assured that we have taken the steps to ensure that these are real people, who are running their businesses. It helps you boost your business networking, and your business in the sense of helping you make new connections and finding prospective customers. And an interesting, huge benefit is when you're active on oGoing and you're sharing content, the more you are sharing, the more content gets visible on Google, on Bing and other search engines like Yahoo and so on. So it really helps you boost your social media as well as SEO. And that means that your website and even the content you share will get found directly by your prospective customers as they're looking online. So again, go to ogoing.com, sign up. It's easy, it's free, just takes 5 minutes. And if you have any questions, just find me and I'll be happy to get you going. A formal introduction. Before I go, I wanted to share a quick quote. And this fireside chat is about transforming the way you connect with your customers. And I couldn't think of a better quote than this one from Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. And he said, there is only one boss, the customer, and he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman on down simply by spending his money somewhere else. It's a very simple message, but very profound at the same time. It's all about the customer, as they say. And I think his quote is very important even now. And I think it will always be important for business owners. So Coach Sturdy McKee, he's a business coach, an entrepreneur, and a business owner. And he has been the mentor for EO Accelerator. And I'm going to ask him a few questions, about 8 to 10. But you're going to keep it simple. It's going to be interactive. And he's going to give us some answers to that. Hopefully, I won't throw some curveballs. The baseball season has just started. So I promised him, this should be good questions that he should be able to answer and help us, on our journeys of businesses. So Coach Sturdy, how are you doing?
Good, Sanjay. This is awesome. Thank you. And again, I'm pretty impressed with the audience and what the experience and levels of experience that you guys all bring. So I'm excited too that this will be interactive. This isn't just you listening to me and talking in your head about what I don't know. So we can talk to each other and maybe explore a little bit here.
Yeah, we will, absolutely. It's a conversational thing, and I think, as my father said, if someone really feels pressed, we will take on questions from the audience, but feel free to chime in, in between after Coach McKee has said a few things. So let me first start off with, you and your family, you work, you live in San Francisco. I love the city. We used to live in Fremont for 10 years, and I do miss it. So how is the city changed, if you may, during the last, 4 to 5 months? I guess during the pandemic, how are things different there?
Yeah, it's been a huge change. I've lived in San Francisco in the city since '95, and then did a little bit before that as well, and in the Bay Area since 1989. But the city, took a bunch of pictures the other day walking down Clement Street near our neighborhood where businesses are shut down, and some of the restaurants are takeout only. And a few of the, like there's a tap room and brew pub that has some outdoor seating where they've taken over the parking spaces, you know, put some tables and chairs out there. But I mean, one of the nice things is they've started these slow street program. They've closed off streets so people can get outside and be spaced and exercise and hang out with their kids and that type of thing. But so much of what we used to do in the city, you know, from baseball games to going to restaurants to walking to school and stuff has completely changed. And I think that's a really good place actually to start with all of this, because the atmosphere, the environment, the world has changed.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially for a retail business with a storefront. It's been the hardest for sure. And I think we're going to talk more about what can we do then to connect with customers in these times. But before we jump into that, a quick background of yours, you know, from an entrepreneur to a business owner yourself, and now a business coach. Maybe just spend a couple of minutes or less on what were the learnings from yourself being a business owner. You know, I heard you said you were running physical therapy or something, and then what made you actually choose to then become a business coach?
So yeah, I started PT clinic. We actually launched straight into 3 PT clinics at once back in 2001. That was after I was in solo practice for a couple of years on my own. But then, you know, grew the company. We weren't huge compared to some of the things you guys work with, but we had almost 50 employees, 6 locations. And one of the big lessons I learned is that a lot of the goals that we set, the top line revenue goals, the number of locations, all that stuff are not the best goals. That you can outgrow your cash flow, you can outgrow your profit, that your profit is your primary goal, and then you build your business and design around that. So that's one of the big lessons. And then, I mean, and then we're talking about, you know, 20 years more. So the other big lesson is that there is a way. You know, other people have been down this road before. And by engaging coaches and looking at that, that was something, you know, if you go back to my growing up and college and what have you, I didn't even know this was a possibility. I didn't know this was something that existed in the world. But getting exposure to it from being a business owner, engaging coaches, and the benefits I got from that, that made me really excited about the prospects eventually of helping business owners, not just, you know, one-on-one patients, but by extension, really impacting a lot more people.
So you said you started with a solo PT location yourself. This is how you started, and then from there you expanded into multiple locations.
Yes.
So what and you know, one of the things you said is it's all about the profit, because if you don't have that, it's, you know, ultimately it's a losing proposition. But so tell me the thought process as you're expanding from 1 to 2 to 4. I mean, what is it that said let's do that, and then what would be the biggest hurdle to making that expansion happen?
Well, I think that that's a complicated question. What inspired us to do that was the initial idea of reaching more people, of impacting more people, providing a service to a larger audience. So we were already at that size when I engaged my first coach, and that's when everything kind of went, oh my goodness, we got to really rethink this, because we were growing our cash flow. At $4 million, we were making less money than I was at $1 million in profit. We were trying to figure that out, and how do we fix it and all this stuff. But that part of it is business design, like what you're doing, and the margins in that industry are generally pretty tight. So knowing those things and then optimizing and figuring out, we're going to get to this, but other ways to serve your customer as well, I think is one of the big issues, one of the big lessons.
Got it.
You mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
Since this is a fireside chat and you're an experienced coach, I noticed when Sanjay came on today, he said, this is a change in the way in which we normally do these video things. He said, this time we're doing this as a fireside chat rather than a PowerPoint demonstration in broadcast mode. So from that, I've gathered that Sanjay has done something to change the way in which he communicates or interfaces with his important business contacts. I'm curious, since the COVID situation has impacted the majority of us that are on the call today, I'd like to know what you've done in the way of shifting gears to adapt and improve the way you communicate with your customers.
Is that question for Sanjay?
No, you're the
for me. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, then this is part of that evolution, right? So most of what I did over the last several years was one-on-one, intensive weekly meetings, customized. It was, again, kind of high labor, high intensity versus the number of people reached. When this all started right at the beginning and we shut down, my initial reaction was, you know what, I'm going to lower my prices and just work harder and get more people in. And as I started thinking about that and engaging with one of my coaches, Bill Bishop, what I did was I went back to the drawing board, took all that content, put better structure around it, created a program and a sequence, and the ability for people to do parts of that in an automated asynchronous way with follow-up coaching sessions. So we're combining the training and coaching in a much more efficient manner so that I can help more people at a lower price point. So instead of decreasing my revenue, I can reach more people and access more people and automate parts of it. So, leveraging that technology, but really, again, we're going to, I think, get into this a little bit more too, but really centered around what the target customer needs. Okay, that whole concept. Go ahead.
Let me share with you the notes I made in preparation for this particular fireside chat. And by the way, Renee's one of my people. I never go into a meeting without a wingman. Okay. Now, what I did is I said, what would I think I could be doing differently since this whole COVID thing impacted my ability to make face-to-face meetings? Because you could see from the picture in the backyard, we used to have the clients come here for meetings. We can't do that anymore. So what I thought was, what if you made a list of your top 50 business contacts and then listed them by priority? That would include your staff, which Renee is one of them, clients, which are people that are your ongoing people that you do business with, customers like you. If you looked at all of the people that are your customers for your business, you say, well, I've got more than 50. But colleagues, which are the people that are on the screen here, referral sources, which may be some of the people on the screen, and friends, which might be some of the people on the screen. And then I came up with a way to connect with them on a regularly scheduled basis. I know Sanjay sends out invitations for this meeting in preparation, what, 5-6 times, Sanjay? Right?
Yeah, I would on an average invite at least 5 to 6 times. You're right.
So my point is, I think he's got the right idea. Changing this over to a fireside chat and getting 15 or 20 people on maybe a weekly basis instead of a monthly basis. We switched our meetings to every other week because of the COVID, okay? But if you were doing this on an ongoing basis and kept it an open forum think tank discussion, that would make for a heck of an outreach type program for almost every single person on this list, including Pollyanna, who's in real estate. Like, just my thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Yeah. So, and that comes to the central question, for the day, which is, and he already asked that the COVID-19 has changed everything, and I think the big question is that how are small businesses connecting during these times, and what has changed and what has not. And I think before we do that, I'm going to take a quick poll here, get a pulse from the audience on how everybody is connecting, right? So let's do this poll, and I'll give you all. It's very simple. It's multiple choice, just to get a sense of what all you are using today to connect with your clients. And feel free to fill this out. Pick a few choices here and we'll share the results.
Come on, Renee, you're usually faster than this.
I had already done it.
Look who is talking. All right, so I'll go ahead and give you guys 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8. The seconds go faster here. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Let's go ahead and end the poll and let's look at it. So let's share the results. So what's fascinating is, Coach McKee, are you seeing the results as well?
Oh yeah, whether this is taking the form of telehealth for the healthcare clients or the online meetings for coaches and consultants, yeah, absolutely, and more email, more phone.
Absolutely. So definitely Zoom meetings has, it's interesting. Zoom or online meetings is at 90+% here right now. And, the good old phone is still there, but messaging is not as much as I thought, 30% or less right in there. LinkedIn folks are using, I use email marketing blast quite a bit, so it's in there. But multiple types, I would say many different ways to communicate with your customers. Let me ask this, is anybody sending mailers to your clients as of now? Anyone sending regular mails, like the good old fashioned mails? Is that a form of communication that you think could be interesting or not in this day and age? Maybe not during COVID. I think everybody's even worried about picking up the mail now, right now. So may not be the best intent, but so Coach McKee, the question then, how are customers connecting and what has changed? I guess, is it more frequency? What's changing here?
I think the smart ones, the people who are really taking action, yes, the frequency's increased. I've seen others who kind of gone into their shell, at least initially, and got basically out of fear or uncertainty, not knowing what to do. But creating, I'm with Pete. I like this format because I think what you're trying to do is create conversations. You're trying to engage those people, not just do broadcasts. So email can be great for updates, but we've got to do something else to listen to hear, to engage, and to talk to these people.
Yeah, let me actually ask Anshuman here, who has logged in. He's with TIE SoCal. I'm also doing marketing for TIE. I'm the marketing chair. But Anshuman, can you share a little bit about the TIE Connect and what we did there? And what has been your experience with TIE Connect?
Yeah, thank you so much. So TIE Connect is basically offshoot of COVID-19. When COVID hit us, we stopped doing our events, the physical events from March. And I was baffling. So, I put together a task force and, discuss with them that, how to engage our charter members, our attendees, and our general members. Yep. So webinar people were doing, we are also doing webinar, but then TIE Connect came from our, knowledge series chair. His name is Ravi. And he said that, why don't we do a daily 30-minute connect in the evening? And it started like that. And right now, I think we have done over 46 back to back. And, for the last, 15, 20 days, we have increased the duration, it is going up to 1 hour and, we are not doing every day. Now it is Mondays and Fridays. But, it was such a humbling experience in people coming, looking at familiar faces and talking other than business. Because what was happening that, people have been working more at their work from their home office. And then they have the family to go to, but, there was no social interaction between, because, you're not going out, you're not meeting with your friends. So it was a very welcome change and, it was a great success and it is still running. Thanks, Sanjay.
Thank you, Anshuman. I think that's one way that TIE SoCal, which is the leading entrepreneurship body here in Southern California, they have changed. how they're connecting with their members and their customers, who are members. So yeah, I think we have, the good thing is that technologies have evolved in such fascinating ways that we are able to do, this connection with customers. And I think that comes back to the next question, Coach Sturdy, I have for you is, the three ways that leads to customer happiness, right? I mean, happy customer, hopefully is a loyal customer and a lifelong customer. And so then what are those three ways where we can keep our customers engaged and happy? And if you can share some highlights on that.
Sure. I'm not sure I'm going to hit 1, 2, 3 in that clearly,
really.
but I think step one before we even engage them is to define who your ideal customer is. And I don't mean that, or I kind of evolved away from a traditional demographic model. Now, you might have demographic components like a business owner with X amount of revenue or X amount of employees or whatever. But I'm really looking at more their psychographic, details, their values, their desires, what motivates them. Those kinds of things tend to help and better define a successful, ideal customer. So if I'm talking with like a PT, right, a physical therapist, and they're confused because they're always saying, well, I want to help everybody. Well, of course you do, and you're going to. But when you're thinking about designing new programs, when you're thinking about doing new things, the person we want to focus on is that person that you're super excited to be seeing at 7 a.m. on Monday morning, okay, that you can't wait to get to work. Or the person that's scheduled late at 4:30 or 5 o'clock on Friday, and you're like, yeah, that's going to be awesome. So those kinds of people are, the ones you want to work with. And what ends up happening and what makes it relevant for them is they start looking at that person's engagement, their motivation, their, the things that make that interaction positive and great. And then the things like, age and income level and gender and all the other kind of traditional demographic stuff kind of goes by the wayside, because you're going to get a 69-year-old, tennis player and a 23-year-old and a peds and, 85-year-old, maybe also a tennis player, right? But those are the people that you're super excited about, and it kind of runs the gamut, and you're not caught up in this kind of, 40 to 50-year-old mom of two with a dog and a barbecue and whatever, which I don't think really defines people as well or what they want. So that's step one. And then the next thing is, once you've defined who that is, I think this is really an unfair advantage that most of you have over, forgive me, but over the IBMs and the big companies of the world, is as business owners, you all are talking to your customers every day, right? You just saw that poll. I mean, 90+%, you're doing something. We're all doing something to engage and talk with people. So if you're not abundantly clear already, or you just simply want to verify, pick up the phone or talk to them, but pick your ideal customer and talk with them and ask them, run the ideas by them, engage them. That feeling of engagement and importance is one way to make, to improve satisfaction, make people feel happy. Again, I guess the talking to them directly, and then once you've got that, what the desires are, what you do really well. There are a lot of folks out there looking to expand their business or try to reinvent or do things in a new way. That's all well and good, but the big thing in healthcare is the telehealth, right? But the way I look at telehealth is it's essentially the same thing through a different channel. You're selling a visit, an interaction when they need care. So regardless what the specialty is, it's like an office visit, it's just being done over video or whatever. Those same people who are providing those services have an abundance of knowledge that the same target customer needs and wants, okay? So they want information, and if we have other ways like classes or programs or teaching that we can do, that could be really useful and beneficial and help make customers happy.
Sanjay, I want to apologize, but Renee and I are due on another Zoom meeting that's going to start shortly, so I'm going to have to back off. Thank you all very much for allowing me to be part of your meeting today.
Yeah,
bye.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Renee.
You bet.
Go ahead. So I think the the ability to, you're saying, engage with your customers in a meaningful way, where you really understand what the needs are, what the desires are, and
Absolutely.
not just putting them in a bucket. This is more of understanding each customer for who they are.
You can talk to the real people. You can get feedback and information from those folks that you want to work. You want more of them, right? We don't necessarily want more of everybody. We want more of those ideal clients, but by focusing, and this is one of the ironies of all this, by focusing in on them, you actually end up, by delighting them, you end up attracting many more people. So you're not going to just hit the center of the target. You're going to aim for the center of the target, but you're going to hit those rings around it. You're going to hit like-minded, similar, and even some dissimilar people who also benefit from the new things you're doing.
And the reason the ring expands is because you're saying this happy customer, they're going to share their experiences. Is that the thought?
They'll share, but the things that you do, and I don't think we delved into this earlier, but Tesco was a great case in point. Now they've changed, so don't look at them currently with what they did. But 20 some years ago, Tesco was a European grocery store. They decided very clearly on who their target customer was, and it was basically a young mother was their avatar, right? They went through and redesigned all their signage, the width of their aisles, the size of the carts, the placement of the candy away from the cash registers, the grab and go stuff up front, the bigger parking spaces, all this stuff with her in mind. What ended up happening though was young professionals who wanted the grab and go food and didn't want to cook also were more attracted. Older adults who wanted the big, the clear signage and the bigger parking spaces and the carts were also attracted. And so, yes, there's a word of mouth component to this as well, but there's also, by hyper focusing on a niche market and deciding, okay, we're going to make it awesome for them, you're going to make it really good for a whole bunch of other people too.
Got it. What about technology? How important technology plays a role, to keep customers and making them happy? Is there a role there?
I think everybody on this call could answer that, now more than ever, right? Because we're not having those same in-person interactions, at least not at the same volume.
Right.
In the clinics and healthcare, people are still seeing people in, face to face, but keeping distance, precautions, all that stuff, it's still not the same interaction. So I think technology has, number one, a way of connecting and continuing that relationship, but also ways of expanding your reach and being able to reach more people, again, especially if you're in some kind of, and I think we all are, some kind of knowledge-based, profession.
I think that's...
We've got a couple things in the chat too.
Yeah, go ahead. Questions on the chat? Anybody else has a question or two?
Pollyanna had her hand up too. Thanks, Avinash.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on the
Please.
pivot that we have been doing from day one on the real estate sector side. We were deemed essential from the jump, and we had to go virtual right away with Zoom meetings, Zoom showings, virtual tours, and protocols from the state of California here. So yeah, I mean, it's actually turned out to be a very positive thing for us, because it has given the looky-loos, they're gone. And the serious buyer and the serious investor will jump through the extra hoops and do the paperwork, to get involved and look at the properties.
Nice. So
that's a great point.
You're able to find your highly targeted customers, the ones who are more qualified, in a better way.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it has impacted the business, but we had to pivot right away, or business would shut down. I mean, people need houses, and more than ever, people have really, they know now what they need where they live. And a lot of people have actually needed to upsize with Zoom rooms, with rooms for homeschooling, with bigger yard space. So yeah, there's been a demand, and then obviously we have an inventory shortage because people are afraid to put their homes on the market.
Yeah, that's interesting, probably, because I've seen across a number of businesses fewer leads, lower lead generation, but higher conversion rates, which I think corresponds, right? If they're calling you, if they're coming in, they're more serious.
Yeah. So, the silver lining, if you will.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Yeah. So if you have a question, feel free to jump in. You can ask either on your audio or you can send it via chat. So, go ahead. In the meantime, I have one more question for Coach Sturdy here. So one of the things, for a business owner now more than ever, they're always juggling multiple tasks. Some are strategic, but most of them are really tactical. And I guess the question is when you begin to realize that this is not the way to run your business. I mean, what would you recommend to these business owners, right? I mean, and you've been yourself, you've run multiple PT clinics. I mean, what's a better way to, I guess, to become more efficient? I guess that's what I'm looking for. More productive.
That's a great question. Again, I mentioned Bill Bishop earlier. He has a coaching consulting practice called the Big ID Company, but he has broken some of these things down in tier 1, 2, and 3, and 4 businesses. But tier 1 is what we traditionally think of, our brick and mortar, our transactional kind of business. This is part of the inspiration when Pete asked me, what have you done, of going back to the drawing board and really turning it into more of a tier 2 business where you're creating programs. Programs that people can use. If you think about, in your question here, right? When do they decide they need a change? Well, generally in some period of crisis, something's going wrong, right? Things are falling apart. Cash flow's bad, employee quits, whatever it is that kind of creates the urgency for them to seek that out. That's the same, very similar kind of model in healthcare. You access the healthcare provider when everything else has failed, essentially, right? So changing that up and realizing that those same people may need you when they're not in crisis, and how can you provide a service, provide knowledge, provide education, provide whatever it is that they need. And that's where talking to them and figuring out what their wants and needs and desires are comes into play, because where that overlaps with your expertise is a real opportunity. It's an opportunity to develop programs, to maybe do classes, to do any number of other kind of delivery models, which in a lot of cases can be a higher margin, broader reach offering, and that part of things was actually, again, maybe initially a little counterintuitive, but what I realized with the coaching was the high touch intensive coaching, I actually ended up raising my prices, because that takes more effort, more time, more of everything, emotional energy, research, maintenance, everything else, than creating the programs and keeping people on a program. So, when do they realize a change? When there's crisis. How do they change? Successfully or not, you got to reinvent and look at how you're doing things. But we've got tons of, probably too many stories about companies that didn't adapt. You can think of Kodak and Blockbuster and Sears and, go down the list, but they didn't adapt to the changing environment. And, where are they now?
Well, I was a Blockbuster member.
Right. Well, a lot of us were.
Not saying out loudly anymore, but used to. Ended up paying a lot of late fees.
Right. Well, that was their model too. Right?
Never happy about it.
Right.
Anyways, so any questions, folks? Go ahead and chime in. But I have one more, and actually we had talked about this, when we shared our program today. The focus forward pillars. That's one of the things that you have created, Coach Sturdy. Which is your process, if you may, or your program to help the business owners. Can you share with us a few of the important pillars and what can we take away from those pillars, today and then in the future?
Sure. Let me see about sharing here. going back and taking the content, taking the things that I was teaching and training people on and creating better structure around it really led me to this, and also more discipline around sequencing. So this is really focused on people like you who have an existing business. Okay, my folks thinking about starting a business, this is probably, down the road for them a little bit. But there's a list of 12. These are meant to be taken in a monthly kind of segments. We start with a playbook to make, basically codify and get their processes and procedures down to free up their time, but then move through the rest. But what I wanted to share with you guys is we were talking about this, and this is kind of that foundational piece. Yep. How do you make your customer happy? Well, which customer, right? Because if we're trying to make everybody happy all the time, we're not likely to succeed. So who are we going to make happy, and how are we not just going to make them happy, but how are we going to delight them? How are we going to really go above and beyond? And there are, some great ways and strategies to do that, but we go through this process of, number one, defining who they are, and then really getting down to brass tacks about what do they want, what can you offer. And the other cool thing about that exercise, by the way, if any of you decide to go through and do it, is as you're looking at what it is they desire, those things you don't want to do, those are your potential strategic partners. Okay, because if you become the hub, the conduit in your programs, in your network, to bring those experts, those people, those resources to your target customer, now you become more indispensable to them as well. And it's not even stuff you do. Okay. This number 5 is don't be a penguin.
I like that.
Okay. Sanjay laughed at this one. But we're not trying to stand.
I need to see a penguin in real life, in nature. I've seen one in Las Vegas, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, we've seen them at the zoo. I've seen them in Southern Australia and stuff, but the pixies. But yeah, they're, we look at the penguin kind of as a representative of commoditization rather. So we're not trying to stand out from the crowd. We're not trying to be the tallest penguin. We're trying to stand apart from the crowd and be really uniquely different. And there are a number of different ways to do that. But again, going back to why your company exists, who your target customer is, what you're really good at, that's going to lead you into, okay, how can we be, dramatically and meaningfully different in the eyes of our target customer?
Right.
And then that's why we kind of sequence things that way, because then at this stage, we're really thinking about what are those other things that we could offer? What are the other things we can do? Not just expand our market, not just, serve more of generic people, but how can we reach more of those target customers and expand it there? And with technology and the things that are happening now, this stuff was all happening anyway, right? But our timeline has just been massively condensed. Yep. So as we're reimagining what we're doing now, it's not 15 years in the future, it's 6 months in the future. And what can we do to reach them, to provide value, to really, amplify, what makes us different and how we serve that target customer. And when I get pushback, because all this stuff's a discussion. I don't make decisions for my clients. I work with them to help guide and what have you. But, there'll be people who challenge and say, well, I don't want to limit myself. The challenge question back to them is, if you look at all the people, after you've defined your target customers, so let's say, Polly, you're looking at commercial real estate in a specific niche. The first question is, do all of the people within whatever radius, right? So if you have a geographic radius there, or maybe you don't because maybe you have overseas investors and absentee or what have you, but do all of them know about you? So before you try to expand and peanut butter it and reach as many people as possible, how do you reach all of those people? And that's where your strategic partners come in, because they have similar audiences. They're serving the same customer with a different thing that they don't know about. And you can do the same thing for them. You can reciprocate. So there's value in those for you as well. And
yeah, so if anybody wants to get access to the 12 pillars, and I like the advanced ones here as well, we will have Coach Sturdy's email, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect you, as well as I think there's a link we will share in the chat area as well. But a quick overview on the advanced pillars, Coach Sturdy.
So this is really for people who want to continue on or who want to do other, they have more resources or more time, or they, a lot of you have a ton of experience. So there are things that you've already kind of checked off your list, right? If not all of them. So there will be those things, and then we can insert these in, or they can do them at the same time. But I've been fascinated, particularly in the healthcare world, of how many people don't know what customer acquisition cost even means, or how to assess or use it. Right. Well, and this is a very contextual kind of metric, right? Because in software launches and what have you, they don't mind spending 30% on customer acquisition cost.
Yeah.
If you're in a business with a 15% profit margin, you can't possibly spend 30% on customer acquisition, right, on new programs.
True.
So analyzing and looking at those things. And then, the other one here, well, there are a couple, but professional development, transformational growth. A lot of small businesses don't have any real professional development programs. They kind of substitute more skills and training instead of what the big guys are doing. Decision matrices are just ways of structuring and filtering all the opportunities that we get as owners, especially as new owners, chasing the shiny object. So you can control your time and do that better. And then the practice circles us all the way back to the playbook, because if you think about most athletic teams, they're run better than most businesses because they have a playbook, they know what they're going to do, and they practice. And Jack Daly is the first person I heard that from. And the other thing he said about that it jumped out at me immediately. If we're not practicing with each other, we're practicing on our customers. And that's not a great recipe for success.
On that note, I think that's a profound statement. If we are not practicing with each other, we are practicing with our customers.
On them.
Right? On our customers. So how many of you really want to do that? I don't think you do.
Right.
I mean, it's unless the customers, I guess they'll forgive you, I guess, or they will. So let's go back to the meeting. And I think what I'm gathering here is there is a thing called the playbook. And I think if there's one takeaway that we can take from this is, I think every business needs a playbook. And, I can assure you that if I'm not trying to sell Coach Sturdy's coaching here, but definitely I'm hoping that that's one of the areas that he can help you, develop that playbook, where, if you approach him, besides the pillars, because I think that playbook to me is critical. It's kind of like your operating system, right? If you may, in the next street for the next 12 months, if not for the next 10 years, right? So I think that playbook, I'm assuming it changes, right? You see how it's evolving, and every year or so you kind of make changes. So is that the way it works?
Oh yeah, it's a live living document. When we're talking about this, and particularly people without the level of experience that you all are bringing to it, you're talking about the operations manual, and this is not a compliance operations manual. This is not crossing your T's and dotting your I's so you don't get sued or something. This is stuff you actually do. Yeah. And when you're hiring your first employees or growing from 10 to 25, you've got to get this stuff written down. Like, I'm sure Dave has a method and a way, a process for finding money and doing the audits and figuring that stuff out. And if you're going to have somebody else do that, you've got to have that stuff documented. They've got to be able to follow the checklist. And by writing down the first initial pieces of that, you can then test it. Is it enough? Is it detailed enough? Does it work? You can link resources to it. You can put outside, it helps you to onboard people and train them, helps with your growth. It helps you verify and validate and get consistency across different people. So yeah, it's incredibly valuable. And by the way, if anybody does want to, I'm doing a talk on the playbook specifically today at 5:30.
Oh, fantastic. So is there a link you can email me, and I'll be happy to send it out. Or if there's one here,
I'll be happy to do that.
You can even put the link in the chat. I know my father is still logged in from India. It's past midnight there.
It's gonna be late.
Dad, did you have any questions for Coach Sturdy? Let me see if let me unmute his mic.
This is repetition for him, right?
Yeah, sorry. I guess your mic is muted up, so you have to unmute it yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Did you have a question for Coach here?
Yeah, I have one question. My
Go ahead.
experience of training business owners in marketing, in sales, it is one of the most difficult things because business owners by and large are very, what we call very arrogant. They think they know everything about it. And to crack them in marketing and seeing that they should understand marketing, they should understand what sales process is required. I want the coach to give some comments on that. What is his experience?
I didn't catch everything. I'm so sorry.
I think
so.
Could you tell him on my behalf?
Just the audio is a little bit choppy. Sorry.
Can you? I think what you're asking is how do you train business owners effectively on marketing and sales?
No, I again repeat.
Please.
My experience with business owners is that business owners are very proud people, very arrogant people. They think they know everything. Particularly if they have supremacy in technical aspects, then they are most difficult to train. So how do you overcome this problem and making them change that marketing is a real pillar of success? I want the coach to give comments on that.
Good point.
It's a great question. I have given up on making people change, though. So they've got to want to. There's got to be some desire, but I think we all have to acknowledge that there are things we don't know. And we can, especially today, no matter how good you are, no matter how expert you are, there's so much happening in the world, so many people learning, researching, testing, doing new things, that there are bound to be things that we don't know. And I think everybody here and most successful business owners, particularly with any experience, still read every day. They're seeking knowledge. They're looking for new ways of doing things. And, it's a little bit like, so to use another PT analogy, if my quads muscles and my thigh are really strong, but the hip muscles that control the angle and stuff are not, most people will continue to work on their quads because they're strong, right? Or if math is your best subject at school, I'm going to do, everything. I'm going to do math because I'm really good at that. We tend to gravitate to the things we do well, right? And we don't want to face the stuff we don't do well or the weak part. But there are situations where we need to at least have a minimum level of competency, right? And that's the other thing about a small business versus a big business is a big business, you've got access to all these specialists that can help you and do, the things that they do really well. In small business, you may not have access to those specialists.
No, they don't.
I don't have a big marketing department, right?
Yeah, they can't afford it.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I've been grappling with it for many years now as to making them understand the value of good marketing. I think part of the challenge has always also been that there are a lot of fly-by-night marketeers who have promised them the moon and delivered the rocks, So I think there are problems with that. And so they have been burnt before, and I think now they are like, they want to find somebody who is trustworthy, especially when it comes to the front line, right? Anything which is facing the customers.
And you know what, Sanjay, that's exactly why that customer acquisition cost module came about.
Yeah.
Because people getting taken advantage of and not really understanding how to assess the effectiveness and the cost and all. So I got tired of that too.
So I think we are already past 12. I really appreciate everybody joining in. I think there's no further question. I do have one last question for Coach Sturdy here, and then, you're welcome to connect with him online through oGoing as well as through LinkedIn. And the final question is this: how realistic is the goal of growing the business in the midst of this pandemic? Should business owners be playing defense or offense? I guess the NBA and NFL are potentially starting, and baseball is already started, so I couldn't stop but think about the game theory here. Should we play defense or offense? Offense
is the short answer. Yeah, the irony of those kind of tragic business stories of the blockbusters versus Netflix or BlackBerry versus Apple or Sears or what have you is that the leadership in those cases, and many of them thought they were mitigating risk by not making changes, by trying to hold on, by trying to preserve the status quo. And what ended up happening was they obviously exposed their companies to greater risk in doing that. So really looking at the environment currently and seeing what's happening, we've got to figure out new ways, because our quote unquote normal may not ever come back. I'm certainly more optimistic and hope it will and think it will, but it may be long enough that you got to survive in between. And there are going to be other opportunities as well, kind of hybrid models going forward, I think.
Well, with that, let's all play offense. I want to really thank Coach Sturdy, for sharing a lot of good insights today. It was a great fireside chat. I think this is a good format. I like this. We'll probably do more of this. And again, thank you, Coach, for being with us.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. And yeah, connect with me on oGoing and we can follow up there.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining. And we'll do more of this. So look for announcements. And I think the coach has given a link if you want to join the playbook. And the ones who want to contact him for the 12 forward focus pillars, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to connect you with the coach. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much.
Well, let me go ahead and stop the recording here. Yeah.